Warriors Live.
Holy cannoli, this is crazy.
Presented by Xfinity. Supercharge your home with supersonic Wi-Fi. Unbeatable internet, only from Xfinity.
It is Warriors Live. John Dickinson here on 95.7 The Game. We're getting you closer to tip-off tonight, just about an hour away from the Warriors and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Another big game in a series of huge games here for the Warriors to close out the season, as Golden State comes in 39-36 in this one. They've won their last three. It's game 2 of a 4-game homestand. Warriors getting the big win over the Sixers on Friday night, 120-112 with the comeback in the fourth quarter, and they are playing one of the teams that's currently chasing them, hot on their heels here in the Western Conference playoff and play-in race, and that is the Minnesota Timberwolves, who come in 500, 37-37, a game and a half back of the Dubs. And this is the first game of what will be a 3-game road trip for Minnesota as they play in Sacramento tomorrow and at Phoenix coming up on Wednesday before returning home. And they're all big at this point with 7 games to go now here in the regular season. But this one especially, with the Warriors having an opportunity to not only separate themselves from the pack as far as the play-in tournament teams, but also able to still potentially have their sights set on a 5th seed or even a 4 seed right now, with everybody jumbled up between Phoenix, the Clippers, and the Warriors. We are sponsored by Xfinity Internet. Better streaming, Flex 4K device, voice remote, and Peacock Premium, all at no extra cost, no strings attached. And this is a special edition of Warriors Live as well, as it is a pleasure to be coming to you from Miller and Lux here right in Thrive City, attached to Chase Center. Miller and Lux, the American steakhouse, delivers a refined, comfortable restaurant experience through a sophisticated lens, and this place is just awesome. Having an opportunity to check it out and wander around a little bit before the show and look at just the deliciousness and the fine dining experience that is here at Miller and Lux. Tyler Florence, this is created by him, chef and owner, of course, the 26-year Food Network veteran. Miller and Lux open with special hours on Chase Center event nights, but 5 p.m. every night as well. So if you're looking for a good meal before a Warriors game, it is outstanding, and extended hours as well on Chase Center event nights. So, yeah, this has been a good one. They've all been great. It's been a lot of fun to do some of the pre- and post-game shows this season at the different Thrive City locations. But this one especially, I'm looking forward to, and I'm not going to tease what apparently is coming my way here over the course of the next half hour. But I hear it is going to be some extra special deliciousness. So we'll hold off on that and give you more details on Miller and Lux here as we proceed on Warriors Live on 95.7 The Game. We're going to hear from Gary Payton II coming up momentarily on Warriors Live, because that is a big headline theme for this one tonight for the Warriors. Gary Payton II returning to the Dubs after being out and coming over in the trade last month from Portland after leaving the Warriors in free agency, coming off of the NBA championship last June and all of the drama and everything that went through the reacquisition of Payton II and the injury issues that may or may not have been fully disclosed by the Blazers. And, of course, James Wiseman, the Warriors spent the former number 2 overall pick in the draft to reacquire Gary Payton II. And he is good to go. So we'll hear from GP2 coming up here in just a moment. We're also going to hear from Steve Kerr between now and 5 o'clock. His pregame press conference, as he met with the media, talked about a number of different subjects, including just how things may change for the Warriors with Gary Payton II back in the Dubs rotation here for what is going to be a pretty massive game between the Warriors and the Timberwolves here tonight. Let's get to the injury report officially here, which is, as always, brought to you by Boxer & Gerson, Northern California's premier workers' compensation law firm. Boxer & Gerson, helping injured workers get their lives back for over 40 years. For more info, visit boxerlaw.com, and the headline on the injury report from the Warriors' point of view is GP2, who will return, last playing against the Warriors the night before the trade deadline back in February when the Warriors were in Portland. He's been out since February the 8th and makes his return tonight, obviously coming over in that trade the next day from Portland right at the trade deadline. And Gary Payton II cleared to play in this one as he had been dealing with what was officially right adductor soreness coming off of the surgeries that he had last offseason. And it was fits and starts for him in Portland, missing more than 30 games at the beginning of the year and then coming back and able to play a little bit before the trade deadline, and the Warriors recognizing that there was some rest and rehab that still needed to be done. And so Payton now through all of that, good to go for the Warriors tonight. They will be without Andre Iguodala, left wrist surgery, and Ryan Rollins, of course, who's had the right foot surgery as well. Andrew Wiggins remains out as he has been due to personal reasons. Timberwolves side of things, Anthony Edwards is the big question mark, and he, at this time, still remains questionable for Minnesota with the right ankle sprain. Chris Finch telling reporters, the head coach of the Timberwolves, that he is a game-time decision. He's going to be out warming up. Saw some video right before we hit the air of Edwards warming up with a big smile on his face. So if you read anything into the big smile as Edwards was going through his pregame paces, that could make you lean toward thinking he's going to play. But that formal announcement likely coming at the top of the 5 o'clock hour with the 5:30 tip here scheduled on 95.7 The Game. Jalen Noel, questionable. Karl Anthony Towns was also questionable. Towns, of course, had just returned from injury, the right calf strain, and the Timberwolves have the ability to go big, unlike really many other teams can in the NBA with Towns and, of course, Gobert, and they're still trying to reacclimate their new-look squad after the trades they made in the offseason, and then they made some more trades in season, picking up Mike Conley, D'Angelo Russell, making his way back to the Lakers. And so that, your injury report for this one, brought to you by Boxer and Gerson. All right, with that said, let's go ahead and hear a couple of minutes of Gary Payton II as he addressed the media yesterday following Warriors practice. And he talked about a number of different things, including his return and just the impact that he can have on this Warriors team over the last 7 games, plus hopefully a playoff run.
Gary, welcome back, first and foremost. Steve said you were able to scrimmage on Friday. We wanted to know, how did you feel during that scrimmage, and how does it feel after all this whole process to be back on the court?
It feels good. Starting to feel like myself. Just excited to get out here and get back to it. I missed a lot of games this year, so just ready to get back out and on the court with the guys and, ramp this up for this home stretch.
What do you expect the reintegration process to be like for you? Because you're obviously very familiar with this team, the way they run things, but there are a lot of new players that you haven't played with before.
It's riding a bike. I had a couple, what are they called? Pegs on the back, front. Sure. Just add them, and, you get accustomed to them. I've been watching, so I know what guys like to do and where they like to be, so it's going to be like riding a bike.
Based on what you've seen, what are some of the bigger differences between this year's group and last year's team?
I think we're just younger, bench-wise, just coming off the bench. We got younger guys coming off the bench, but it's more energy, so I like it, and, we're just going to play around for these last week or so and, get ready for the little home stretch at the end. Do
you kind of anticipate being deployed in the same way, kind of that small ball 4 hanging out in the dunker spot kind of thing?
Well, yeah, it's kind of how I play, so I'm just going to be myself out there, and, those guys will look for me and, get back to what we do normally. And, I'm a guard.
Is this the healthiest that you felt all season?
Yeah, you can say that. Just more and more I feel like myself, after beginning of the year, just working through all the, little pains and little bumps and bruises from, off season. So I feel pretty good.
What do you have to do on the court to know that you've got over that hump and that you're ready to play, whether it be defense or just conditioning wise? What gave you even that mental that I'm good to go now too?
It's just reps and every day getting my body right, just maintenance and a little fine tuning. But we had a little extra time to do all that and get it back to where it's supposed to be. So ready to go.
how has it been just watching them? And like you mentioned that the bench is younger. How do you feel like you can really step up and be a leader for that second unit?
Just go out there and play. I think, the way I play speaks louder than, talking to guys. So just go out there and lead by example. Hopefully, mostly, everybody just follow and, pick up the energy and intensity and get back to what we was doing. But thrilled to play with all the guys on bench mob, Dante, J. Mike, Moses, Jonathan. Jonathan's, has grown last year tremendously. So excited to, get back on the court with him and make plays.
All right, so GP2 back on the floor tonight for the Warriors. How will he be deployed by Steve Kerr? And how about GP2? Confident as always, saying like riding a bike, his ability to come in and help this team. I think that was without a doubt part of the allure of bringing him back with the Warriors defense in particular on the road, struggling so mightily over the course of this season. Somebody that could be plugged in and be an on-ball defender for this Warriors team and what had been their greatest weakness to this point this season, and somebody that's so familiar with the defensive role, which is very much different from the offensive role, and basically guarding point guards and guarding wings that like to attack on the defensive side for Payton, but then on the offensive side playing a little bit of a dunker spot or a four-man role. It will be interesting to see how the combinations change, because at first glance, I would imagine probably anywhere between 12 to 15 minutes for Payton, couple of shifts in each half for GP2, but who is impacted by his addition into the rotation is going to be an interesting thing to monitor here over the course of these last 7 games as we head toward the playoffs. All right, Warriors Live. We're rolling on here on 95.7 The Game. Steve Kerr coming up momentarily. We are sponsored by Xfinity Internet, better streaming, Flex 4K device, voice remote, and Peacock Premium, all at no extra cost, no strings attached. John Dickinson coming to you from Miller and Lux, here the modern American steakhouse, named after Henry Miller and Charles Lux, a duo who grew their business into one of the largest cattle ranches in the 1850s. It was right around this area here by Chase Center, and Miller and Lux also owned and operated a butcher shop in San Francisco in the area. And so, here until 5 o'clock, enjoying a nice meal. And again, for all your sophisticated dining preferences, just an excellent meal. Make sure you check out Miller and Lux here and attached to Chase Center and the Thrive City aspect of things. And I hear, and we're going to hear from Steve Kerr coming up, but I hear, and it looks like it's coming right now, actually, here. Wow. Why don't we, can you swing this around, Tyler? Can we just right over? I'm going to try real quick before we get to the interview, because we do have, for those, I'm going to swing this around. And we're going to get this camera, we're going to get this on camera right there. Yeah. Tyler Florence joining us here. And yeah, what this is, and this is a 46-ounce, 45-day dry-aged tomahawk ribeye. Wow. Unbelievable. Served with a bone marrow chimney, and I'm looking at that right there. Wow. Looks like there are multiple sauces here. I see 3. That's a trio. Okay.
This is our horseradish cream.
Horseradish cream.
This is our whipped Béarnaise sauce.
Okay.
And this is our potato puree.
And the potato puree as part of that as well. Wow.
Eat the whole thing, you get a t-shirt.
Wow. I love it. Yeah, I love it. And yeah, well, I'm gonna challenge you on that. But yeah, amazing stuff for those watching on YouTube and Twitch. Yeah, wow. Yeah, I'm gonna dig into this coming up here. After 5 o'clock. And, appreciate Tyler Florence as well. You saw him on camera there on YouTube. So let's go ahead and hear a couple of minutes from the head coach of the Warriors, Steve Kerr, as he addressed the media on Gary Payton II being good to go, Klay Thompson leading the league in three-point makes, and how GP2's reemergence will change things as far as the Warriors rotation. Here's Steve Kerr.
Is Gary good to go?
Gary's good to go, yeah. So we're excited to get him back, and we'll plug him in. He's it's been a while since he's played, so we'll see how he looks, see how he feels, and go from there.
After the last game, Klay Thompson reached 268 threes, which at the time was the highest in the NBA for the season. Then the games played the next day. But for Klay to reach 268 and be approaching his career high for threes in a season, what does that say about how far he's come from his injuries and just how spectacular he is as a shooter?
Yeah, he'll be able to do that, and till he's 90. So he's always going to be able to shoot. But I think the main thing is just the durability. The fact that he's playing back-to-backs now, playing heavy minutes. He's just put in so much work to get to this point, to overcome the 2 injuries and now to play at such a high level. Everybody's thrilled for him.
Steve, you mentioned the other day to the media that with Payton coming back, that everybody's minutes are going to be changed around, things are going to change around. What do you do to get that point across to your team? Is it just a known and they know that, or do you have a meeting and say?
No, I say it. I say it out loud to the group. I think one thing every player wants is clarity and honesty, and having been a player before, it's just everything's much easier when you know what the coach is thinking. So I always try to share with our guys what we're looking to do, and with Gary coming back, it means that some minutes will obviously be taken away from other guys, but it's hard to tell really who those minutes will come from, because a lot will depend on which combinations are working. This is a different team from last year in a lot of ways. So there's a handful of guys who Gary hasn't played with before. So there is still a little bit of experimentation ahead.
Coach, as chaotic as this Western Conference is, and so many things can change from one moment to the next, given how much experience your group has in championship situations, you've seen everything that can be thrown your way. How much of a luxury is it to have a veteran group down the stretch as you fight for playoff positioning?
Yeah, it's everything. These guys have played in so many high-stakes games, and they've been in pretty much every situation, and including this one a couple of years ago when we finished 8th and we were in the play-in tournament, lost both games, and so all that experience adds up and is helpful. And our core players are our leaders, the guys who've been around for a long time. They're able to share that wisdom with their teammates, and it gives our team a good foundation of leadership going down this stretch.
I know you've been happy with the strides Kuminga's made on the defensive end recently, and just to have him and Gary potentially on the floor defending together off the bench. What is that? Whoever Gary's with, obviously, but those two in particular.
Well, you think back to last year in the playoffs, having Wiggs and Gary, both capable of guarding the opponent's best wings, was such a big part of winning the championship. And with Wiggs gone, J.K. has really stepped up and seized that role of guarding the best wing, each night. So it's great to have Gary to throw at people as well. And, that's a big part of playing defense in the league these days, is just guarding all these explosive wings who you're seeing night after night.
So if you guys have had a lot of fourth quarter comebacks in home games so far this season, when you were able to overcome double-digit deficits in the fourth quarter at home and come back and win those games again and again and again, does it something set into the mind? Is there a mentality change? What a sort of maybe a level of confidence that you believe you can win? What happens with that when you are able to establish that over a period of time?
Well, number one, it's just nice to be home because we feel the energy of the crowd, and the crowd helps us overcome those deficits. I think, in my time in the NBA, the best teams always control their home floor. The idea is if you can win 30 games at home and split on the road, then, you've had a 50-plus win season, and that's the template. We got half of that down this year. Haven't gotten the road part down, but I think being able to rely on our home court and our crowd and the energy that we bring in this building has kept things afloat for us. And there's just I think a deeper level of confidence that comes when we play here.
Can there be a psychological impact?
Yeah, we've come back so many times. I think, if I'm not mistaken, we recently went through a stretch of 10 or 11 straight games where we were down 10-plus points, and we didn't win all of them, but we won a good share of them, and so that's a good sign. I think there is an edge that comes from having come back from multiple deficits at home during the season.
Kuminga goes wall to wall on defense. Is that always his call? Does he have a green light to play full court like that?
He has the green light. Usually it's something we're asking him to do, depending on the matchup. But, it's for him, it's a really good weapon. He's so athletic and big. He can wear on the defender and force the opponent to get into their offense a little bit later, which is important. And so it's a big part of what JK can do.
Steve, if you feel comfortable talking about another team, Sacramento could clinch a playoff spot tonight. What would that mean for the city of Sacramento to end that 16-year drought and the fact that Mike Brown would be the guy to lead them there? Well, Sacramento's always been a great basketball town, a great fan base, and so I'm really happy for Mike and their franchise and the city. It's been an amazing season for them. Just watching them, watching the energy and the enthusiasm and the cohesion. I mean, Mike has just crushed it. He's done such a great job. And obviously Mike did so much for our team here and built so many relationships here that we all love him and we're all thrilled for him.
All right, so Steve Kerr there, closing with the comments on Mike Brown and the job that he's done in Sacramento. And yeah, if the Warriors win tonight, that puts Sacramento in the playoffs for the first time in 17 years. And Mike Brown doing a hell of a job coaching that squad. I think he's probably going to be the coach of the year. And of course, a big key component to the Warriors' success as an assistant here over his last 6 years with Golden State. Final minute here, Warriors live from Miller and Lux here on 95.7 The Game. Going to get back to enjoying this 46-ounce, 45-day dry-aged tomahawk ribeye in just a couple of moments, but want to get to taking it to the bank. Who will take it to the bank for the Warriors tonight? Sponsored by Fremont Bank, full-service banking, no compromises. Got to roll with GP2, right? The feel-good story is he returns, playing for the first time since February 8th and playing for the first time for the Warriors since the NBA Finals. GP2, look for a big game and an emotional night at Chase tonight for that. Tim and Tom next, right here, 95.7 The Game.
GP2 is back.
Payton on the break, goes up and jams it right on top of Oubre.
Fan favorite Gary Payton II has been cleared to play.
Shot blocked. Payton blocked it, knocked it out of bounds. Payton does a couple of push-ups on the floor before he gets back up.
GP2 is back, Dub Nation.
What'd you have? A Truly?
And we're talking about it all day on your home for every Warriors game. 95.7 The Game.
Since first opening its doors in 1964, Fremont Bank has approached banking with a simple idea in mind.